Former Nigerian military President Ibrahim Babangida has formally declared the late MKO Abiola as the winner of the annulled June 12, 1993 presidential election. This comes as General Babangida unveiled his long-awaited autobiography, A Journey in Service, coming more than 3 decades after he famously stepped aside from power. The high-profile launch attracted a host of dignitaries, including President Bola Tinubu and former Presidents Olusegun Obasanjo, Yakubu Gowon, Abdulsalami Abubakar, and Goodluck Jonathan. The event was chaired by Obasanjo, while the keynote address was delivered by former President of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo.
As the leader of the military administration, I accept full responsibility for all decisions taken under my watch. And June 12 happened under my watch. Mistakes, oversights, and missteps happen in quick succession. But I say in my book, in all matters we acted in the supreme national interest so that Nigeria could survive. Our nation's march to democracy was interrupted, a fact that I deeply regret, but Nigeria survived and democracy is still alive, a testament to our resilience and commitment to progress.
When I was summoned by Daily Cole to make a remark, I confronted you. That you had an opportunity to make history that day, and you failed to do it. Why not inaugurate us? Why are you calling us back and postponing the inauguration day? They thought I will end up in jail. You came out right at the end of the remark. You shook me. I can't forget that picture. You said, you are courageous. That's an inspiration that is so impactful in my own life, just for what you are. The few hours to set a day like this, I put it together. For you, you deserve it.
The book will be reviewed, read, quoted, praised, and lambasted, as some will agree with you in part, and some will disagree with you in part. Some may even wholly disagree with you. Why should you write the book? It is self-glorification, they will say. Controversy may even develop. It's all good for you, and it's good for the book, and for our nation-building process.
For our prospects of effective integration to materialize, the Federal Republic of Nigeria has to assume her historic responsibilities and lead our development towards an integrated democratic West Africa and Africa. That evolution cannot succeed without you, but you will be its greatest beneficiary.
Now to discuss this, we're joined by political analyst Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, you're very welcome here on the news today. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Good evening.
Good evening. Now, how significant is Babangida's admission, especially considering the political climate in Nigeria over the past few decades?
I'm not sure it's of any substance. These are facts that are already in the public domain. In the last 32 years, everybody knew Abiola won the election. And Babangida has lived in denial for 32 years. Don't forget that the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari already admitted that Abiola won the election. Not only that, Buhari conferred the highest national honor on Abiola posthumously. recognize those who fought in that struggle to revalidate the election. In fact, Babangida Kingibe was Abiola's running mate, was equally conferred with national honors. And it is also in memory of MKO Abiola that the Democracy Day has been moved to June 12. So I would say his admission 32 years after the deed was done is just an afterthought. Like he said, he has reflected and come to the conclusion, maybe he wants to make peace with his maker, and he just decided that let him put the record straight. But what about the memories of those hundreds of people who were mauled in the protest? I was a student of the University of Lagos, as at that time the annulment took place. Many of us who participated in the struggle died on Ikorodu Expressway during our protests. Our campus was shut down for about 6 months. Many schools in the Southwest region, many tertiary institutions were shut down. People lost, very immense property. Those who were named and remain persons with disability arising from the protest. So, and what Babangida did was even short of, apologizing. He said he regretted, but he did not apologize and seek for forgiveness of Nigerians, despite his admittance.
Interesting observation there, Jide Ojo. However, what are the long-term implications of this revelation on Nigerian politics, Nigerian sentiments regarding democracy, where we could have been, where we are now?
Well, I think it's just it talks about this resilience that, for those who are politicians and those of us in civil society and media, we must learn the value of resilience. That the fact that something is denied today does not necessarily mean that it's a lie. And this is, it's just so painful that a lot of casualties have happened in the course of these 32 years before Babangida's admission. But nevertheless, I think it's a lesson in courage that, yes, if you persevere, you can actually get to your goal, because it is now for, I don't know what else to call for now that has not already been done in memory of MKO Abiola. But I think the lesson for me is that we must now learn the right lessons from the June 12th election itself, which was a landmark, epochal election that the entire globe believes was free, fair, and credible. In fact, I recall that Canada actually closed down its High Commission in Nigeria as a result of that annulment, and people wanted to go to Canada for years, had to go to Ghana to process their visa. That was the kind of punitive action that IBB's action warranted. But it also shows that today's politicians must do everything to prevent the military from taking over the reins of power anymore, whether now or in the nearest future. We must do everything to keep military at bay. Because as we have seen now, admitting that an error was committed 32 years ago, when there have been a lot of people who died as a result of that, is not the best of a statesman. But if our political class learn the right lessons from June 12th, we can prevent military takeover in the nearest future. And don't never say never. Look at what has happened to our neighboring countries like Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso down to Guinea-Conakry, where military have had to take over reins of power. So the value, I would say, the lessons to be learned is that no matter how bad, no matter how challenging a civil rule is, let us endure and persevere and learn to play the politics by the rule. Let's learn to play politics of rule of law, not rule of the tongue. Let's do away with violence in our elections. Let's do away with money politics, where the highest bidder gets to win elections. Because these are some of the reasons IBB even adduced for nullifying the June 12 election, that the election in June, or the events preceding that election, was fraughted with a lot of monetization, vote buying of delegates and all of that, and that there were violence in some places. So the lessons to learn for me is that the political class must do everything to prevent future military rule in Nigeria.
That's the best way to end that. Now, thank you very much, Jide Ojo, for joining us this evening on the news.
It's my pleasure. Do stay safe.
Always, thank you. Now, away from that, Central Bank of Nigeria's 299th Monetary Policy Committee meeting held on the 20th of February 2025 and has decided to maintain the current monetary stance. The monetary policy rate was retained at 27.5%, while the cash reserve ratio remains unchanged at 50% for deposit money banks and 16% for merchant banks. Additionally, the liquidity ratio was left at 30% and the asymmetric corridor around MPR countries to be set at a 500 to minus 100 basis points. The decision reflects a cautious approach amid ongoing economic uncertainties. Earlier principal partner Woodridge and Scott Consulting, Segun Sopitan, shared more insight on this.
Expectations were mixed because, you know, the NPR decision is meant to be based primarily on inflation numbers, you know, from the NBS. And the reason that this MPC meeting has been delayed this long is because they were waiting for the NBS, you know, inflation numbers. And with inflation having shaved up 1,000 basis points, all expectations became uncertain. You know, without that intervention, we would have said we would expect the MPC to hold or increase NPR marginally. But with inflation having come down by 1,000 basis points, the natural expectation would have been that the NPR would have to reduce to drive growth, you know. But we all know that inflation coming down to 24% is a result of rebasing, not because inflation itself has reduced. So the MPC decision at the moment is, I don't think they had any other option. I think the only thing they could do was hold, and then they would have to go back to the drawing board and determine how to respond to this rather unusual, if not unprecedented situation.
Let's go on a short break now, and when we return, we'll talk about Edo State House of Assembly as it relieves political appointees. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now to politics. Edo State House of Assembly has relieved political appointees attached to members of the House of their appointment with immediate effect. Speaker Blessing Abibaku announced their sack during plenary session in Benin. He said the decision was taken by the 24 members of the House, adding that the political appointees sacked would be paid their February salaries. He listed the appointees to include special advisors, senior special advisors, among others. The Speaker said the appointees were appointed by the members upon assumption of the 8th Assembly in June 2023. And to help us put this into perspective, we are joined by legal practitioner Elvis Asia. Elvis, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Elvis, if you first of all all right, thank you very much. Now, if you first of all give us your what your first take was on this issue.
Well, there are a lot of political activities going on in those states following the election of the current governor, who is of the APC. You know, there's been a lot of political activities, particularly from the House of Assembly. I want to believe that you know, this development is not unconnected with this political development that are going on. I'm really surprised because you know, the news is that all the 24 members have sacked their political appointees. I wonder how they, you know, all came to this conclusion. I hope it is with a view to reducing the over-bloated, budgeting for the House of Assembly with all these political brings no relevance to the Edo people. We have this system where House of Assembly members have all sorts of political appointees, just like the executive members. We have heard of local governments having so many SSAs, SSAs. I don't know of any law which actually authorizes these members to appoint people in the manner they are doing. So let's hope that this is the realization of, the fact that what they are doing is not really backed by law, and it's also not good for our budget. We are in very difficult times economically. People are being asked to tighten their belt. People are being asked to be patient with government. But all of these political appointments sap, a lot of taxpayer funds. And so let's hope that this is with a view to reducing that. But like I said, I won't be surprised it's just mere politics, and that attempts are being made behind the scenes to reappoint these people or other people that will suit the current political realignments that are going.
So we're going to come back to the reappointments that you've just spoken about, but let's talk about the budget. You spoke about the budget. Now, it has been noted that they would be paid their February salaries, but what about the emoluments and all of that? How would that impact the budget for Edo State?
Well, one of the things that is shocking is that these political appointments, even the politicians that are appointed, they know very well that, there's no certainty of tenure, there's no guarantee. And so they are appointed at the pleasure of whoever is appointing them. But like I said, it will definitely affect the budget of the state because there are a lot. If you have 24 members of the House, each one will have more than 2 political appointees because you are hearing of SSAs, SAs, and then you ask yourself, what exactly is their functions? What are their functions? What are their roles? What, do they bring to the table in terms of helping the people to surmount the daily challenges that we are faced with as a state and as a nation? And so it comes down to a lot because if you look at a lot of the items that you see in their budget, it relates to payments of salaries, personnel, vehicles, because when you appoint SSAs, it's possible that they too also have official vehicles, and all of this comes down to a lot. And so there is no doubt that all these political appointments would, increase the budget. But, if you look at it in reality, they add nothing. It is merely an attempt to, booster your political base, give the people who supported you some sense that, they can get some dividends from government. And all of these will pile on the budget of the state. And it's really not good enough. I mean, when you look at the balance it as against the things they bring to the table for the development of the state.
Okay, then. So even though these appointees might have been appointed arbitrarily, like you noted, let's talk about legislative stability. Obviously, they were occupying offices. Now that they are being relieved of their offices, isn't that going to cause a vacuum? How's that going to affect the legislative stability of Edo State?
You see, that is the thing. These people, they are quite aware that these political appointees really bring nothing to the table when it comes to legislation. Because ordinarily, they're supposed to have the civil servants who are employees of the Edo State House of Assembly that can assist members, with the administrative aspects of the legislative process. So, quite frankly, you don't need all these politicians. These political appointments, just like you said, are arbitrary and they have no basis. Ordinarily, it shouldn't affect what is going on in the assembly because the members still rely on the career civil servants who are in the ministry responsible for the house, to assist them with the administrative side of the duties of legislation. And so I do not see that it's going to really cause any upset to the day-to-day functioning of the house. But knowing politicians, I know that in the next couple of days or weeks, you are going to see that there will be other people appointed to replace them. Like I said, this is just a reflection of the political alignments that are going on within the state. Whether you like it or not, some members are looking at jumping ship and moving to the other party that's not the ruling party, which is really, the culture of the politicians. And perhaps many of them are still waiting to see what the outcome of the, what comes out of the tribunal before they can make their full intentions known. And don't forget that these political appointees would have come from the current political party. So I won't be surprised that in the next couple of days or in the coming days, other people will be appointed, other people that will now fit in, into the realignments that are going on politically within the state to replace the people that are being displaced currently.
Well, thank you very much, Elvis, for giving us your opinion on the matter here. Thank you indeed. Now to energy sector matters now. Nigeria has announced a ban on fuel tankers exceeding 60,000 litres effective 1st of March 2025 in a bid to reduce road accidents. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority says the cap will further drop to 45,000 litres by late 2025. NMDPRA Executive Director Ogbugu Ukoha revealed the decision has full backing from key stakeholders, including the FRSC, the NARTO, and NUPENG. He also dismissed claims about poor fuel quality as bogus and misleading, assuring Nigerians that all petroleum products meet strict standards. Authorities say the new restrictions will enhance road safety and enforce compliance in the petroleum sector. And now to discuss this matter with us, we are joined by oil and gas analyst George Brown. George, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today. Now, George, let's go straight to the questions. Do you think that this decision will drastically reduce the amounts of accidents we might have been seeing lately from petrol tankers?
Rocket science. What has fire incidents, the outbreak of fire incidents, got to the size of the tankers that are used in transporting refined products? It's neither here nor there. In the past, we were using 33,000 liter tankers as a minimum bench, but due to economic needs and operational costs in the business value chain, they now decided to increase to over 40,000, and in some instances 66,000 and 70,000 liter capacity tankers have been deployed to the road. These things are done for business convenience, because the unit cost you will incur in moving just 33,000 liters is just a slight margin, which is the differential in the consumption of the truck itself, that will move 66,000 for you. So it is supposed to maximize profit. And I don't think that has anything to do with the cost of fire outbreaks due to petroleum products. If I am a lawyer, I'll embark on a public interest suit and I'll take the NNDPRA to court. How can you just wake up one day and put so much burden on people that businesses that have invested so much in acquiring and building these tankers, these trucks, investing in this equipment, and you just wake up in one person and tell them that, oh, you're sending them out of the business. What is the government doing to make businesses easy, or to make even the lives of the people to be easier? Because at the end of the day, the end user of the refined product is the one that will bear the cost. What is wrong with these people?
So George, then I hear what you're saying, but then what other possible alternatives could there have been to be able to restrict or reduce the amounts of accidents that we're having lately, especially when it comes to these petrol tankers?
I will ask that whoever is watching this, that it is not a logical reasoning. Fire outbreaks in trucks carrying or conveying refined petroleum products is as old as Nigeria. The use of 33,000-liter trucks was just started some few years ago. Like I mentioned, the reason for the increase in the size of tanks or tankers is for economics of scale, is for profitability, is for maximization or optimization of the value of the truck, of the equipment. It's optimization and cost optimization as well. So outbreak of fire has nothing to do with the size of the trucks. The downturn of the Nigerian economy has made Nigerians to become so impoverished and poor that they always flock to their death. When this tanker has fallen to fall by the roadside, Nigerians run into it. It's a increase in poverty. That is why Nigerians are doing that.
All right then, George. So George,
that's just the reason why. Nothing more than that. And again, you also have more bad roads in the country today compared to the past.
Okay.
You have more bad roads.
Now George,
bad roads that make trouble.
All right then.
Have poverty, which is hydra-headed, and people have no choice but to risk their lives in going to scoop fuel, and they get roasted. So the government should fix the road. The government should allow that this business to be deregulated completely. They should take their hands off it.
Okay, so let's talk about that, George. Regarding what the government should do, let's talk about operational costs now. First off, what would be the impact on the cost of petrol at the end of the day if this goes through? How would it affect the common man's pocket?
Okay, at the end of the day, somebody must bear this cost. This equipment owners have invested in acquiring these tankers with this large capacity. They've invested in it. And now you're telling them to revert to smaller size tankers. And as they are reversing to the smaller size tankers, it means that their big size tankers are useless. They can't be used again. The NMDPRA wants to ban it. So it means that they are useless. How do they acquire those ones? How do they dispose of this when it is no longer useful? So somebody has to pay. And who will pay that marginal cost? Is the end user of the product, the consumer of the petroleum product will have to pay. So you can see there is no there's no reprieve in sight for the Nigerian citizen with regards to energy stability, prices of energy stability, energy utilities.
Well, George, I want to say thank you very much for giving us your expert opinion on the matter. Thank you indeed. Oil and gas analyst George Brown there. Thank you very much. Now, tempers fled in the Senate on Thursday when the lawmaker representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti, was reassigned another seat. The adjustment of her seating arrangement was a result of the vacuum created by the movement of Senators Ned Nwoko and Francis Ezenwa from the PDP to the APC, enabling them to move seats to the ruling aisle of the divide. Now, the chief whip of the Senate noted that the Senate's standing rules permits the Senate presidents to relocate seats to lawmakers, rather to reallocate seats to lawmakers at his discretion. Senator Akpoti's attempts to move a motion citing a breach of the privileges was turned down by the president of the Senate, instructing her to relocate to her new seat in order to be recognized. Let's also tell you that the National Emergency Management Agency has confirmed that 3 people lost their lives in an explosion that triggered a massive fire at the Talata Mafara Central Market in Zamfara State. The incident, which occurred on Tuesday, left dozens injured. In a statement posted on X on Wednesday, NEMA reported that 50 people sustained varying degrees of injuries, with 46 currently receiving treatment in hospital. The agency said its emergency response team had been deployed to assess the situation. In a similar incident earlier this month, at least 17 students were killed and another 17 injured in a fire outbreak at an Almajiri school in Kaura Namoda local government area. Gunmen have abducted Eniola Ojajuni, the national president of the Afenifere Youth Council in Abuja. According to a statement by the council's national secretary, Abiodun Aderohumo, the incident occurred on Monday. Aderohumo also revealed that the abductors are demanding a 100 million naira ransom from Ajajuni's release. The group has called on the federal government and security agencies to act swiftly to secure his return, while urging Nigerians with any useful information to assist. Now let's also tell you that 14 Filipinos have been arraigned before the Federal High Court on charges of cyber terrorism and internet fraud. The Lagos Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which brought the case against them, alleged that the suspects were part of a 792-member syndicate involved in cryptocurrency investment scams and romance fraud. They were arrested on the 10th of December 2024. The defendants face separate charges including cybercrimes, cyber terrorism, impersonation, identity theft, and possession of fraudulent documents. All 14 pleaded not guilty and were remanded in a correctional facility. Justice Kakaki adjourned the trial to 13th of March 2025. Uche Jain, a Lagos-based naturopath, is fighting to save her child's education after the sudden passing of her husband. With her JAM registration stuck in limbo due to a lost SIM card, Uche Jain's world has been turned upside down. She shares her short story with News Central's Igbalani Omoni.
Uche's eyes, once bright and full of life, now dimly reflecting the weight of a word. The naturopath's life has been turned upside down in an instant. A husband, her rock and partner in every sense was gone.
And told me to take the children to church, that he wants to go for a meeting. And that was it. That was the last time I ever saw him.
The grief is suffocating, but it is only the beginning of her troubles. 2 of their children are being robbed of their father's guidance and love. But that's not all. Their education and future hang in the balance. The JAMB exam, a crucial milestone in Nigerian education, is looming, but the children cannot register. The SIM card their father had used to register them has gone missing, and with it, their hopes.
They were able to get my first son's profile from JAMB portal, the code. So I bought e-pin for him to go now register. But my second son, it was the father bought him the SIM, registered it because he's a minor. So he cannot register the SIM by himself. So we bought last year, but he couldn't go further. So he's lost the SIM along the line. Now if we want to retrieve the line, the father have to retrieve it. So because of that, himself, we couldn't find his own registration at all on the portal. But we found for my first son. So they gave me the pin. I bought the e-pin for him, came back and now told him to go and register. When it got to JAMB office, JAMB said he has to use SIM number. That's the code he sent, and the registration he did before was for 2022. And now the one he's doing now, he has to resend to let JAMB know that he wants to write another JAMB again. And then because there are other things that need to be changed, his biodata and every other thing. And that's the only way he can have access to be able to do anything on the platform. He has to resend with the same number. Now when he passed, he has about 3 phones. He uses for the office. I was given just 1. So the remaining phones and everything, we can access them. So the one that I would need to send to him now, we can't find it.
The eldest child, to cope with the loss, has immersed himself in an animation course his father had enrolled him in. The younger child, meanwhile, has found solace in modeling. Though their creative pursuits bring them some comfort, their education remains at a standstill.
Probably I'll be in school by now if you're still available or around.
Firstly, I would have loved to study computer science.
New Central crew made an effort to reach JAMB spokesperson Dr. Fabian Benjamin. His response aligns with Uche's account.
And unfortunately, they can't find the father's phone anymore.
We don't change numbers.
With each passing day, the weight of responsibility threatens to overwhelm her. Yet, she perseveres, wiping away tears to care for her patients and her children. The handful of patients she attends to provide her with some lifeline of income she clings to. The big question now is, will the death of their father halt their education?
If you're able to certify that something happened to it, the person, if I need be, I have to provide his death certificate, I will do that. But please, those children have to move on. Children of the dead have to move on. It's not easy. It's not easy. A lot of times we try to move on our own, but it's not easy on us.
Though the road ahead seems uncertain, she refuses to let her children's dreams slip away. She vows to fight to ensure they have a future, no matter how daunting the obstacles may seem. In Lagos 4 News Central, Igbalani Omani.
And now, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is addressing the media following officially opening the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in Johannesburg. The meeting, held under South Africa's G20 presidency theme of solidarity, equality and sustainability, is part of a series of ministerial gatherings leading up to the G20 Leaders Summit in November. Discussions are expected to center on global geopolitical tensions, economic cooperation and diplomatic relations. However, the meeting takes place amid strained ties between Pretoria and Washington. Notably, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has declined to attend, while the European Union has confirmed its participation. We'll cross over now to our News Central's correspondent, Bongani Sisiba, for more.
Mazino, all eyes are in South Africa as President Cyril Ramaphosa has officially opened the G20 ministerial meeting with approximately 35 countries that are in attendance here at the Nasrec. But today, Mazino, we have seen not just a typical power players within the G20, but also the presence of guests, including Nigeria, which adds an interesting dynamic to the discussions. But let's hear what President Cyril Ramaphosa had to say in his opening address.
That this is the time, the G20 gives us, as Africans, the moment to put our issues on the global agenda. And I do believe that we've got a cohort of countries in the G20 and those that will be invited who will be willing to listen to Africa's story, to Africa's narrative, which will not only be expressed by South Africa, but by the African Union itself as a member.
Mazino, however, there are also significant attentions of that of United States, which has opted to send a representative from its embassy rather than a high-ranking official. And this decision has been seen as quite a buzz and raised questions regarding its implications for South Africa's president of the G20. And also President Cyril Ramaphosa had this to say about the absence of high officials from US.
The absence of some leaders is not the end of the world, as long as the G20 family is able to meet, discuss important issues, and come out with a declaration. And that is what we aim for.
But also some analysts, Mazino, are asking whether this move is a sign of disrespect towards South Africa's role as the chair, as the president for this important gathering. But however, they also perceive a lack of high level of engagement that will affect the credibility of South Africa and President Ramaphosa during these critical meetings. Mazino, now we wait to see how President Ramaphosa will address these challenges. Will South Africa reaffirm its leadership and vision for G20, or will the absence of direct appeal from US signal maybe a shift in diplomatic norms, or how is he going to take this through as the whole year goes when this G20 president is with South Africa? But this is what we have for today, and the meeting continues tomorrow. Mazino, it's back to you in the studio.
Bongani. Now, let's do some sports. West African Boxing Union President Remy Aboderi has refuted misconduct allegations from the Africa Boxing Union and questioned ABU's authority to suspend the WABU's activities. Now, ABU, led by President Hussein Huti, announced that the WABU's disbandment at a Lagos executive meeting on February 12, citing accusations of blackmail, financial mismanagement, and exploitation of boxers and promoters. Aboderi has dismissed the allegations, suggesting an attempt to destabilize the WABU and criticizing Huti for trying to dissolve an independent body. The case has been referred to the ABU's Ethic and Disciplinary Committee for further investigation. And a knockout stage draw for the CAF Champions League and Confederations Cup were finalized today in Doha, Qatar, setting up exciting clashes across both competitions. In the Champions League, title holders Al Ahly of Egypt will take on Sudan's Al Hilal, while Pyramids FC faces Morocco's Asfar. A highly anticipated showdown awaits South Africa's Mamelodi Sundowns go up against Tunisia's Esperance de Tunis, two of Africa's football giants. In the Confederation Cup, South Africa's side, Stellenbosch, will challenge defending champions Zamalek. Morocco's RS Bakane is set to meet Ivory Coast's ASEC Abidjan, while Algeria's CS Constantine will battle fellow Algerian club and reigning champions USM Alger. Now, do remember you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.